My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live. Sort of went according to script as far as Kolkata were concerned. Having lost the toss, they fielded first, as teams have been wanting to do early on in the tournament, but that's not quite how it went according to script. Only for the second time we've seen a team chasing down a total and winning, and that too, as we said, when they lost the toss. 142 for 4 in 20 overs, despite David Warner defending that decision to the hilt at the post-match presentation. Kolkata 145 for 3 with 2 overs to spare on the back of a magnificent innings from Shubman Gill. Actually, you can think of the right adjectives, but rather than magnificent, I think mature would be the better way to describe him, Joy.
Absolutely. In fact, I just want to show you a book about something that I've thought. And this is The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. There's a story here called Silver Blaze. And Silver Blaze, the story talks, where Sherlock Holmes talks about the curious fact about the dog in the night time. And what is the curious fact about the dog in the night time? Is that the dog did nothing. And today it's about the curious risk that Shubman Gill took. He didn't take a single risk. That's the story for you today. A 20-year-old kid batting in a very high pressure this thing with a lot of hype about him, did not take a single risk. He just played risk-free cricket and took the team through. That's amazing.
Simon, I think that's a fair way of describing it, because it's unlike, say, a Sanju Samson innings, which you'll want to watch highlights over and over again. I mean, it was very pretty to watch, but it's not necessarily something that makes the highlights reel yet. Importantly, it took his team home.
Yeah, it was a perfect score for Shubman Gill to get his way into this IPL, because no runs in the first encounter, and he just needed a way to get a score. Now, when you're only chasing 143 to win, you can play the way he played today. It'll hold him in good stead moving forward. I thought he was superb today. He timed that innings perfectly. I said at the halfway stage, he needed to be there at the end. He needed to show the maturity that he can bat through and he can win games for his team. He's been given the responsibility at the top of the order, and he is now able to show that he's done that, and he can do that. And he'll do that more and more, I think, as the years roll by. But I was really impressed with how he played. They were in a little bit of trouble, at the halfway stage when we took in the Cricbuzz combox about just one more wicket from Rashid, maybe Nabi picking up a wicket. Morgan had a little bit of fortune, but he also had the best ally at the other end, I think, in Shubman Gill and Morgan. So there was that experience and that calm nature. And then there was the young, youthful exuberance at the other end, but he kept his head. And I thought it was a very, very fine innings. And, it's not an IPL-defining innings, because we've seen that from him, but I think it's one that will make him a better player and hopefully win more games for Kolkata Knight Riders throughout this tournament.
And Joy, as Simon said, it wasn't all their own way. I mean, we all predicted Narayan would go hard. It would finally be his day, our My 11 Circle trump card. He failed. Dinesh Karthik didn't get off the mark. All the more it meant Shubman Gill had to just stay at one end, see those wickets fall and say, no worries, I've got this.
Absolutely. So 2 things. One is what he did, and he did it brilliantly. Risk-free cricket. He never took a single risk at any stage. None of his shots were ever extravagant. Morgan took the risk. Morgan did those reverse sweeps. He didn't do anything. But one more thing you need to look at very carefully. The innings progression there tells you, they slowed down. When they lost those wickets between 7th and 10th, they slowed down, but they knew they could afford to slow down. At no stage did the run rate go above 8, 8.2, 8.3. That, I think, was the maximum at West. But there's one more thing I want to tell you, and that is the difference between what the Kolkata middle order did today and what the SRH middle order did today. Finally, Owen Morgan was scoring at about 85 to 90 to 95. Tilly came to those last 3 overs, 6s, 4s, finished it off. Why? Because a batsman of his class, if he bats that long, can start hitting 4s and 6s at any time. Riddhiman Shah did not have that extra kick in him. And that is the difference. That's why quality players need to get more balls to play. There's no point giving Riddhiman Shah 20 balls to play. He cannot start talking it after that, because those were the extra 25, 30 runs that they didn't get.
Composition issues to worry about for the men in orange, because they've had it their own way. As I said, David Warner was unequivocal, saying that, yeah, I thought it was the right decision, but they clearly didn't put enough runs on the board. And the pattern we've seen of teams having difficulty chasing has also been because the teams who have ended up batting first with no pressure have put on a decent total on the board.
Yeah, and that's true. And back to the drawing board a little bit for Sunrisers. I just wonder. I mean, obviously they sacked the coach Tom Moody. They brought Trevor Bayliss back in, who's had success at IPL level. But does he know all of those players inside out? And is it going to take him a few games to just get used to where they might need to be, what they're looking for from each certain player? So, I've talked at length already about what team I would like to see on the park. If they go that route, then, maybe they're a better side. They still need their bowlers to front up. And that's been the thing for Sunrisers has been their bowlers have been the key to winning them tournaments and to winning them games in the last 4 or 5 years. That seam bowling attack, along with Rashid, has been the chief destroyer, I guess, and the chief reason that they were able to defend low totals. They just haven't quite hit their straps and found their mojo yet. So there's work to do for them.
Yeah, Rashid has been disappointing, Joy. I mean, I guess maybe it's the weight of expectation, but certainly we see a little bit more fizz, a bit more bite about him generally.
Yeah, he's definitely not looked the bowler he was even maybe a couple of years back. He was devastating, but even last year he was very good. He also chipped in with a lot of useful things with the bat. He was a catalyst. I think more than anything else, it's not just what Rashid does with the bat and the ball. It's what Rashid is on the field. He fizzes, he makes everyone else look exciting. That's not there. He's a bit flat. He seems to have been left out for a little while. Or whatever it is, it's not there. And I think this is a team that needs fizz, because the great thing about Sunrisers is they've always punched above their weight. They haven't had great reputation players, but the Siddharth Kauls of the world, they've all given you stuff. The Nabis of the world, the less known players have given them. That's not there today, and that's the problem. And again, I genuinely, and I've worked with PB for many years, I genuinely question the decision that if Riddhiman Shah is not good enough as a batsman to play in the first match, then why is he coming in ahead of batsmen who you've picked ahead of him, Priyam Garg or Abhishek Sharma as it may be? Because they are, for whatever it is, they are batsmen. They are designated batsmen. And Riddhiman Shah is a brilliant cricketer who sort of made himself into a decent batsman, but he's a wicket keeper, first and foremost. A very fine one is that. So I question that decision totally.
Yep, and rightfully at the end, Owen Morgan, bowlers may not have worked for Hyderabad. They certainly worked for Kolkata, and Morgan at the end giving credit to his bowlers for setting it up beautifully as he may have played, magnificently as Gill may have played. The bowlers set up a total for them that at least looked within touching distance as they went on. But what was the mix of bowlers and batsmen that all of you had out there? If this was the team you had, you would have got a near perfect score. The My 11 Circle ultimate team of the day. Shubman Gill obviously leading the way from the opposition. Former KKR player Manish Pandey, the vice captain, also played really well for his innings. David Warner played well. Owen Morgan played well. So that right mix of batting and bowling. One person who didn't make it to that team was Sunil Narayan. Just this time it wasn't his day. But who was our My 11 Circle champion of the day? Let's find out our winner. And our winner is Vijay Bhandari from Nandurbar in Maharashtra. That's an interesting spot. I'm sure it must be one of those exotic places with a wildlife sanctuary not too far away. Nandurbar in Maharashtra, 320 plus points there. But just also a quick reminder, when we're talking about winners, I'd like to throw in the fact that the My 11 Circle Badge of Honor has finally got me on the board. I just thought I'd slip that in. Yes, indeed. Because remember, let me remind you, 55 is what I said Kolkata would get in the power play. Both Simon and Joy were very gung-ho about Sunil Narayan. Maybe they listened to my tip about the My 11 Circle Trump player and took it too seriously. That was my dark horse, throwing him in there. I didn't have him in. So there you have it. My 11 Circle Badge of Honor. That's the last time I'll boast. Let's move on. What about the Boost Stamina Meter? Who's the man we're focusing on today? And it is one of the Kolkata players. And you could see towards the end of the innings, they just needed a little bit of injection. Andre Russell, if you have a look at that, with his bowling spell, 1 for 16, 81.7 is the points that he earned. Average speed, 2 overs, he bowled 33.33% of dot balls. Also earned 46 fielding points, and importantly, the place where he bowled. Remember we talked about Kolkata's bowling options? well, they could turn to him in 18 and 20, two crucial overs, Simon.
Yeah, and I mean, it's great to have guys like that. And when you're not going to a Nagakoti or a Mavi who are young, we've talked about them quite a lot. You can go to experience, you can go to Andre Russell. Even if he goes for 14, 15, he's not going to be upset by it. It's not going to lose his rhythm. He's not going to change his mood too much, Andre Russell, because he's been there, he's done that. So it's actually quite nice, I think, to be able to turn to a player of that experience to only bowl 2 overs and to bowl 2 very tough overs at the back end. The other thing he does, he bowls with good pace and he hits the bat hard. So if he misses, he might be able to get away with it. And you're not exposing a young man to some of the toughest overs in world cricket. So I like the idea, and no surprises.
Also on that boost stamina meter, Joy, the fielding points he got out there, not always visible when you're actually fielding and not taking, say, 7 catches, but that's an important part of his game because he fields in hot spots.
He's a boundary rider, fields in hot spots. See, how does the stamina meter work? So if you're an all-rounder, it counts how much time have you spent batting, how many runs have you run, whether it's 1s, 2s or 3s, how many balls have you done, how many effort balls have you made, because effort balls are a difference, when you've beaten the bat, there are effort balls involved there. And it comes to, obviously, when you're in your batting, in your fielding, how many runs have you saved in the field, how many runs have you got. So all those come together, and that's a great thing about Andre Russell. He'll always contribute. What I have a feeling is that a good physio in KKR would have told him, you know what, you're going to bowl 40 overs this IPL. 40 overs, that's it. And you would have told Brendan McCullum, save him, do not overbowl him, use him 1s and 2s. The day you can afford him not to bowl, that's even better. Save those knees up.
Yeah.
But you're going to be conserved throughout this IPL because he's one of their biggest assets. And if he can be healthy throughout this IPL, at the business end of the tournament, Kolkata would look very dangerous.
Yeah, it's almost like an annual corporate commitment when you tell someone we're going to use you for 67 days in the year. So Russell knows throughout this tournament, he's got a commitment of X number of overs. When it comes to batting, he's got a license to kill. What about the points table as it stands right now? If you're an Orange Army fan, look away right now. Everybody else, stay peeled. 2 matches for Hyderabad, no points for them. Delhi on top with 4 points. Kolkata have made up for not just the lack of points in the first game, but from -2, they've come to -0.767, and that will be a huge improvement. A slew of teams at 2 points, but it's early days in the tournament. Nothing much to read in except for Delhi looking confident and Hyderabad yet to get off the mark. Looking ahead, so much more action to come, and this time we're heading back to Sharjah. Is it going to be another 6 fest? Well, I can tell you one thing. The personnel who are there are certainly the personnel who can treat you to another 6 fest. Rajasthan taking on Punjab. Oh, just watch out for the likes of KL Rahul, Sanju Samson, Steve Smith. And I wonder if there'll be a temptation with those boundaries for a certain Christopher Henry Gale to say, oh, what a party, man.
Who's he going to replace? He can't walk in there ahead of KL or Mayank Agarwal, and he's not going to bat 3 and run your singles, is he? So I don't think there's any room for him tomorrow.
So I guess he's more likely to join you in the com box, Simon, is he?
I don't know whether it's big enough for him up there, the com box. I'm not sure there's enough room. It's pretty small area, our com box in Sharjah.
Well, this is a decent side. Do you foresee any possible changes once they did make a couple of them in the last game?
I can't see anything. Neesham didn't have to do much in that last game after coming in. He bowled maybe 2 overs, I think. Didn't have to do a lot of work. I don't see their overseas players changing in a hurry. Cottrell's done a great job for them. I think it's a side that looks fairly comfortable. They've played 2 very good games, so I don't see the need, barring injury, for any changes.
Yeah, and the fact that Vishnu has done well, Joy, means that they're not really saying we have to get a Mujib in quickly.
No, definitely not Bishnoi for Mujib. But what I might see, what could happen here is they could play a fast bowler like Ishan Pored instead of Morgan Ashwin. This is just a very cruel ground for spinners. Forward defensive strokes go for 4. Little cover drives go for 6. So, playing the spinner out here, if I have a fast bowler who can reasonably keep it up there and sort of, bowl just a little bit short of a length, he may have a better chance. This is a graveyard for spinners. This is the kind of pitch spinners have nightmares about and wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and say, no, I'm not in Sharjah. It's serious. This is a graveyard for bowlers.
Yeah, remember 33 sixes were hit in the last game that was played in Sharjah, and I can tell you, with the kind of players on both sides, there's going to be a few more. Rajasthan were responsible for a few of them in that last game. They've been there, they've acclimatized, they know what it's all about, and I can see a lot more coming. They'll have to find a way to get rid of Sanju Samson, will the opposition. Steve Smith's looking good, and if we have a look at this squad for theirs, you reckon they're not really going to tamper with this at all?
I don't think so. I don't see too many changes there. I mean, a lot of people will be asking and wondering about Ben Stokes. Ben Stokes is, I believe, still in New Zealand. And I saw a little clip of him training with a red ball about 4 or 5 days ago. So, Josh Buttler is now here. He's out of quarantine, available to play. How do they get him in the side? Do they put him in at the top of the order, leave David Miller out after one ball and a run out where his back got stuck? So that's probably the only thing you would look at. Does Steve Smith not open? I didn't mind the idea of him opening the other day. There's a couple of questions to answer for Rajasthan.
It's a cruel one, something like David Miller, Joy. But if you tell yourself, for the sake of the team, that had both been available, Buttler would have played ahead of Miller. You just have to go to the South African and say, look, Butler's fit, we're playing him. Nothing to do with your last match.
No, absolutely. And the second thing is, let's be honest. This Rajasthan team is like Kolkata had their worst nightmare in their first match. Rajasthan played everything perfectly. Samson got runs. Tewatia got wickets. Tewatia can go for 40, 45 as well. So everything went right for them, as opposed to Kolkata, where everything went wrong in the first match. So this is in many ways, I feel that the Punjab team is a more balanced team and a more resilient team than this current Rajasthan team. This Rajasthan team is flattering to deceive. They'll still say, let's try and win at Sharjah while we can, because this is the kind of pitch that suits us. Big hitters. Steve Smith can also come in as a hitter in this kind of a ground. Even Steve Smith can really hit it out of the ground. They will want to take a quick and early result and get a lead out there, because they are a squad with more glaring weaknesses than quite a few others. And primarily that's because Ben Stokes not coming just completely changes the balance of that team.
Just a final word on this game in terms of the matchup. Now, we've already seen a change in pattern. Win toss, bat first as far as Abu Dhabi was concerned. Now that you go back to Sharjah and a 6-sitting fest, are you again thinking we don't know how big a total we can put in, so go back to chasing, Simon?
Well, they won the toss. They lost the toss and batted first there the other day and put that score of 216 on the board. So I don't know. It's up to Rajasthan, really. I mean, if they win the toss, what do? They had so much success batting first. I think if Rajasthan win, they probably bat first. I think if Kings 11 win, maybe they bowl first. I don't know whether we need to toss tomorrow. Maybe we can just ask them to just get their gear on and go out and play.
Are you scheduled to do the toss, Simon?
I haven't read my email yet to Gautam. So
in case you are, and it happens that way, you might not need to do the toss at all.
That's a good point. I might just go out there and start the interviews and say, well, you want to bowl, you want to bat, let's just not worry about it, eh?
This reminds me, Gautam, of a long time back, where one of the people who was associated very strongly with this ground was Rashid Khan. And there was a very famous toss in Kolkata where the other captain told him that, oh, you won the toss. He said, no, I haven't won the toss. You won the toss. Do whatever you have to. And there was quite a lot of chat about it.
Vishwanath.
Yes. And he kept telling him, you won the toss. He said, no, I haven't won the toss. Because the truth is, that is actually a good tactic. Because the one thing that has happened is every captain who has won the toss has lost. Every captain who's won the toss has lost. So maybe it's a good tactic to play it. It's Sharjah. Go with Asif Iqbal and say, no, I haven't won it. You have.
Yeah. The only difference now we have an adjudicator who's looking at
we do,
point.
yes.
Of course, the
we
Hawkeye of Simon Doull possibly overseeing the toss. unless both captains decide that and Simon Doull gets 10 minutes off. A little bit of time off doesn't hurt. But coming back,
it'd be nice not to go out in that heat.
Oh yeah. Coming back to the game before we wrap up today's game that we've had, Kolkata winning and winning in a canter, but winning well. Dinesh Karthik saying that it was an excellent win, and he also, of course, gave credit to the bowlers. And he did say it was a good turnaround. So it's something that, and along with that, of course, Shubman Gill said that he has been working on power hitting the last couple of years, and more importantly, that the spinners, it wasn't taking too much turn, so they were easy to hit straight down the ground. So thinking cricketer, Shubman Gill.
Yeah, nice. I'm just scrolling through the comments on the Cricbuzz app now too, just to see to see what he was saying, working on his hitting, and batting with Owen Morgan. He talks a little bit about batting with Owen Morgan as well, and the conversations that they were having. They weren't trying to anticipate too much, just see what they could do and take the game to a point where they could actually up the ante late in the piece. So again, I think I really like the kid. I think he's a future superstar of Indian cricket and a future opening batsman. Possibly in two formats at least, and maybe in all three formats. So I just think when you see these sorts of players, these special types of players, you just want them to do well. And to me, when I've talked to Shubman Gill, he's also a lovely young man, and a young man that has enormous respect for the game, and I think enormous respect not only for himself and his teammates, but it's something he must have learned from his mum and dad. So, credit to them, because they've raised a pretty level-headed, nice young man, and you want to see those guys do well.
Possible future captain, Joy?
Absolutely. I think he's got the maturity, he's got the ability, he's young enough, he has plenty of time. And a lot of things, India normally doesn't do that. It's happened in other countries, whether it's been a Kane Williamson or it's been a Mike Atherton, or a Graham Smith for South Africa. They were fast-tracked early, that these are potential leaders. I think if you're looking at fast-tracking anyone in that next generation of cricketers, Shubman Gill is the first name that jumps out. There's no doubt in my mind at all. He's got a mature head in his shoulders, as he's so easily demonstrated today. Riskless, errorless batting, just the kind that his team needed for him.
Yeah, I think if you just have a look at this, what Brendan McCullum said, that even though he's young, big believer, not necessarily true. You've played for a long time, making you a good leader. So to us, Shubman is one of those guys who would look to lean on for some leadership throughout this season. So whether or not the maturity shows now, certainly for this franchise, a definite future captain.
Yeah, I think so. And, I don't imagine it's next year, but don't be surprised if it's 2 years down the track at least. And at the ripe old age of 22, 23, he's leading an IPL side. And he's got some very good people to lean on. Obviously, Dinesh Karthik there at the moment, Owen Morgan, who he should spend a lot of time with and just pick his brains, and Brendan McCullum. So you've got two of the most innovative white ball captains, I think, of the last probably 7, 8, 9 years in world cricket. And if you can't lean on those guys and just garner some information, you might have to drink water while they have a drink of something else. But I think he could learn a lot if he sat around those guys for a little while.
Yeah, they used to say that about Sachin. Would he be allowed into a lot of the members' pavilions where it was under 18? But yeah, that certainly is. And a bit Shreyas Iyer, like almost, who was captain at 23 a couple of seasons ago. But those questions will be answered later. The one question we need answered now, the one Joy said, was more akin to my speed of bowling than Simon Doull's. So let's find out how many of you actually got that, Joy. The answer first.
Okay. The question was a comparatively easier one, but it's an interesting one. This cricketer played in the 2009 IPL, currently coaches the state side. His father will be remembered for an achievement of West Asian country in the mid-70s. Name the cricketer or his most famous father. This is, of course, Tinu Yohannan, and his father, T.C. Yohannan, was not just the Indian long jump champion, he was the Asian long jump champion. He set a record in the Asian Games in 1974 Tehran. He was feted all over India. His son came to cricket, and he's the current Kerala coach who's talking about Srishant coming back. So definitely a guy in the news, and they're a storied family in Kerala sporting history, and Kerala is a state. I mean, if you see the number of cricketers, Sanju Samson, they've been producing over the last few years, it's been quite exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it's a question we've heard phrased differently before, but you had us stumped on that one. Famous father-son combination, but you did give us a hint in terms of sport versus cricket, and which also means we have a new winner today. Yet another new winner. We love new winners here. And our new champion is Indranil Dash. But I think the award goes more for the handle Simian Wolverine. Now, is this
So I don't get that. Simian means ape-like.
Correct.
And a Wolverine is a Wolverine. I mean, so, okay, fine. I'm just trying to get this together and make sense out of it. It's late in the evening. I can't.
I thought it's some newfangled series that I haven't watched, and you guys would come up and say that that's what it is. But maybe Indranil, now that we've given you the prize, maybe you can write to us hashtag Cricbuzz Live, explain why Simian Wolverine, and I promise you on the next show we will mention it. And of course, you can keep your questions coming in on hashtag Ask Cricbuzz Live. We love to feature them on the show. Remember, Joy will be coming up with many more shows and many more questions. Simon Doull, whether or not he's at the toss in the heat, but he will be at
Would you like me to check?
No, that's fine.
I can check. I can check while we're online, mate. I mean, people have got plenty of time, haven't they? There's all sorts of things going on here.
All right,
so,
fine.
you guys just chat amongst yourselves, and I'll see if I'm. No, I haven't got the email. Sorry, I haven't got the email.
He hasn't got the email
I can't
yet.
even tell you.
Only thing I wanted to say, Simon, is it can be dangerous out there. 33 sixes in the last game. It might be beaten. Stay safe in the commentary box. Maybe even get a helmet in there.
I will. I'll stay safe. Thank you.
Yeah, should be an exciting game. Thank you very much, Joy, for that question, for revealing my bowling speed to the rest of the world. And that's all the time we have for on this show. We'll see you again tomorrow. It should be an exciting fixture. Maybe lots more sixes to come. Whether they are or not, we will be back on My 11 Circle Presents Cricbuzz Live.